Four candidates take the stage tonight at the University of Alabama for the fourth Republican presidential debate.
Yeah, joining us now from Tuscaloosa with a preview of tonight's action is ABC's political director, Rick Klein. And Rick, always good to see you. I know this is a Super Bowl pretty much for you when it comes to politics. What should we be on the lookout for tonight? What's on the table?
Yeah, DeMarco, this is crunch time. We are now only 6 weeks away from the beginning of voting in Iowa, and this is the last debate of 2023. It might actually be the last debate before the voting starts at all. So this means for these candidates, there is a sense of urgency around that. These four candidates on stage know that the elephant in the room is not in the room. Once again, Donald Trump not going to be on that stage, and they have to make the case that they are the one to take him on. There's sort of a debate inside a debate in my mind. I'm looking at Ron DeSantis. I'm looking at Nikki Haley. They are the two candidates that are best positioned to surprise people in the early states, in national polls as well as state polling. They're the ones that have to emerge out of this. But of course, the other candidates are going to be trying to make some noise as well. It's all about who can be the viable alternative to Trump.
The number of candidates has been whittled down there on the stage. Who benefits from a smaller debate field?
Yeah, Ariel, it's so striking because just in the last couple of weeks, we saw the governor of North Dakota, Doug Burgum, drop out. We saw Senator Tim Scott, who was at the last debate, drop out. Vice President Mike Pence, he's also out of the race. So now that you only have these four candidates, look, that means there's serious consolidation. And political insiders I've been talking to for months never thought we'd be down to this few candidates. And again, this is all about the Trump alternative. So I think Trump is the most impacted by the shrinking field. And the fact that there's a possibility of one or two candidates emerging as the alternative as opposed to 8, 9, or 15, like we saw when Trump ran the first time, means that Trump has to be able to make the case more directly. Now, he's holding up in the polling, but bottom line is there has been a shrinking in this field, and it means that it's an opportunity to at least say, look, I'm the one candidate and go against him. And Donald Trump, whatever you make of where he stands nationally in a bunch of early states, his polling is below 50%, which means you've got at least half of the Republican voters there that say they're open to an alternative.
And Rick, Americans have a lot of concerns, especially when it comes to issues like gun reform, abortion rights, you name it, issues and conflicts overseas. What can we expect to hear when it comes to key issues being discussed and debated tonight?
Yeah, guys, there's a couple that I have my eye on, and you mentioned abortion rights. Look, most Republicans, including the Republicans that'll be on that stage tonight, oppose abortion rights. But how they talk about it, how they frame that opposition is absolutely critical. We've seen Republicans suffer in election after election by not getting that right, and we've seen Chris Christie take on Nikki Haley for some inconsistencies on that. Looking also at the Israel-Hamas conflict, we know on Capitol Hill, funding for Israel is tied up in a whole bunch of kind of internal House battles that have become very familiar. But what these candidates would do as a commander-in-chief is key. And Nikki Haley, of course, as a former UN ambassador, has a lot to say on that topic. And then finally, the generation gap. We're here on a college campus, University of Alabama, Roll Tide. So it's an apt place to talk about the fact that you're talking about the likeliest candidates for president who are in their late 70s and early 80s. Now, the men and women on that stage tonight in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, that is a big difference. And of course, squaring up against Joe Biden is part of that. But I think there's an even more subtle argument that they can make against Donald Trump, that it's time for someone with a fresh perspective and a new generation to start to take over.
Well, and speaking of President Trump, former President Trump, he is the front runner, obviously, for the GOP right now, but he has yet to show up for one of these debates, not planning to be there tonight. How is that strategy working out for him?
You know, Ariel, a lot of times you can say Donald Trump's strategy is off or dumb, and a lot of times he does things that his own advisors tell him not to do. But in this case, it seems to have worked. Undeniably, he is stronger now politically than he was when the debate process began. He's decided not to attend. He has resisted that temptation, but it does come with a bit of a downside. We've seen Ron DeSantis recently accuse him of the Biden hiding in the basement strategy. And if this persists, if this goes all the way through the early voting in Iowa and New Hampshire, just maybe that starts to matter for voters. But I'll tell you, as long as he's up by 50 or 60 points, Donald Trump's not going to show up. He'll do his counter programming. And of course, he's had a lot of distractions of his own in terms of court cases. So he's going to have his hands full in plenty of other ways, even if he isn't there tonight.
I believe the country will be watching
tonight.
Yeah,
for sure. Our political guru, Rick Klein, for us there in Alabama. We appreciate it.
The man. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.